device. Okay, so just please, sorry. How do I do that easily? Okay, just done. Okay. Sorry. Okay. I think I can put this here. Yes. I can put this here. Okay. So this will be available now on YouTube. So I was saying, being an entrepreneur in itself is hard, but beyond that, it's also important to know that being an entrepreneur in Nigeria is a whole lot harder, which means as an entrepreneur in Nigeria, we need to go the extra miles. Hi, Miss Funto Johnson. We need to go the extra miles. And hey, Basi, good evening. If you choose the entrepreneurship route, you need somebody to teach you that this is what entrepreneurship should be. I mean, think about it. When you say you want to be an accountant, you want to be anything, you spend a minimum of 4 years in university being taught how to be that thing. But you see, when you say you want to be an entrepreneur, you basically get to stumble to make it. You get to stumble to make it. And even when you attend most of these so-called elevator programs, especially those ones in Nigeria, you are having people who do not understand what it means to run a business. You are having people who are in paid employment trying to teach you how to run a business. So what you then have essentially is someone who has probably attended some of the fanciest schools, some of the fanciest university, trying to take that school knowledge and share it with you, not understanding that in, what's the word, for any business that you run, there is a thing we call the PES2 analysis, and there is the P is the political, the E is the environment, meaning environment plays a key role in your entrepreneurial journey. So it's not just about what you know, it's not just about what you're doing. The environment can also make or mar your business. And if you do not have somebody to handhold you through these phases, you might be very good on your own, but somehow, good evening, but somehow lose out, somehow make avoidable errors that destroys the business. And the whole essence of this conversation is to see how can we help people to rethink how they run their businesses. How can we help people to rethink how they run their businesses? Now, see, first, one of the major statements you hear people say a lot is, I'm a startup, I'm a startup, I'm a startup. And again, which is one of the reasons why when a lot of people, a lot of young entrepreneurs goes to places where they are knowledgeable, it becomes very hard for you to access funds because you have already described yourself as what you are not. And because they do not know you do not know, they think you are trying to scam the system. I remember a while back, I was having a conversation, I think on TikTok, and the lady was asking, oh, how did you start and all of that? And I was talking about the fact that, hey, I did crowdfunding. And I remember her asking me some other questions around the crowdfunding. And then I remembered, hey, Samson, you are talking on the global stage. You are talking on a global platform. So when you say crowdfunding, they are interpreting crowdfunding from the original definition of crowdfunding, which is supposed to mean I have a great idea, I put it out there, people who believe in the idea give me funds for free to fund it. I had to quickly explain that no, in Nigeria context, when we say crowdfunding, it is you are telling people to come and invest for a return on investment, which you would usually provide more returns than the regular. What am I trying to say? There is the need to understand the right terminologies, because you realize most people that say they are startups, they are actually SMEs. They are not startups. They are not operating a startup business at all. They are just small, medium enterprises. They are just running a small scale business. Because a startup is not because your business just started. No. A startup is not because I just started. If you are just starting, you are an SME, you are small. A startup is not because my business just started, so I am a startup. No. A startup is because, one, your business is still starting, one, but you are trying to figure out the right business model, number one. So when you say I am a startup, it means the ideation stage, I have passed that level. I am already in my prototyping stage, but I am trying to figure out which of these methods is the best. So when I am talking to investors, the investor understands that the reason I need money is I need money to fail fast so that I can build quick. Key. So the first definition of being the startup is I need money to test multiple models fast. That is why when you go to Silicon Valley, people will be like, this guy is still just at this level and they just gave him $1 million, $500,000, $100,000, and the guy is losing money. No, they are not losing money. They understand that you are at the point they know that what you want to do is valid, but you need to test which is the best way to get it. So the people giving you the money, they understand clearly that you are at the level where you are trying to know what works. Number two definition of a startup is maybe you have even figured out what works, but you have an innovative way to increase efficiency or to reintroduce what is known. Take, for example, there is this company in the US, I can't remember their exact name now, but it's a tailoring company. It's a tailoring company. So normally in Nigeria, when you want to sew your cloth, you meet the tailor will take tape rule to measure you, right? And they're able to say, okay, this is your this, and they measure every part of your body to get out how the cloth would be. Now, this company is a tailoring company. What they did as a startup was they took time to develop an app such that when it is time to measure you, they will just tell you to download their app. They don't need to be with you. Let somebody or you yourself put the phone somewhere and walk in front of the stuff. Let it scan you. And once it scans you, they have gotten your measurement automatically. Think about that. So the startup in them is because they have the app. So they now have tailors who are not their tailors, but who pays them subscription to use their app to get measurements. That is startup. Number three is your business has gotten to a point where you have seen that you have developed the capacity for accelerated growth. Somebody said, Facebook says there is no volume. Please confirm if you can hear me. Sorry, please, somebody should help me confirm. Somebody on Facebook says there is no volume. Mr. Agochima Peter says there is no volume. Please confirm. Can anybody hear me? On Facebook, please confirm. Can you hear me? Just a yes or a thumbs up will help. Facebook, Instagram, please confirm. Can you hear me? Someone says they can't hear me. I can hear you. Okay, thank you, Lilian Uche. Thank you for that. So, a startup is, number 3 definition of a startup is you have capacity for accelerated growth. So, what that essentially means is if I am somewhere where somebody is doing akara and puff puff, and I choose to go and start akara and puff puff, I am an SME. I am not a startup. Thanks for confirming. Thank you. I am not a startup. Because once you go into the space where there are people who can fund and understand terminologies, and you say you are a startup, they are either waiting for you not to be sure of the right business model, so they want to know, okay, you want to tell us different business models so we know which one we want to put our money on, or you are here to tell us something innovative, or you are here to tell us this is where you are and you are at the point for accelerated growth. So if you do not fall into any of these 3, you are not a startup, you are an SME. Because you then realize this is why a lot of people are not able to access funding. But I digress, that's not where I'm going. Now, for today, what I want us, thank you, Mr. Monday, what I want us to look at is what are the counter-conventional means that helps entrepreneurs to stand out. First, let me say this, that entrepreneurship is the slowest road to financial security, especially if you are starting business without good funding at the beginning. If you are the kind of person that needs to bootstrap, entrepreneurship is the slowest pathway. Entrepreneurship is the slowest, the most difficult route to financial freedom. Yes, you do not have a boss, but the reality is you do not own yourself. First. Now, the number 1 skill that you need to develop as an entrepreneur is to be the person that is the what they call the yes we can. Yes we can. But you see, now when we say yes we can, what is the yes we can? Conventional entrepreneurship principle says that you must stick to where you are competent. But you see, competence tells you to stick to what you know, not what your customers want. I say that again. Conventional knowledge says stick to what you know. Take, for example, if you are in the exam hall, because these are some of the ways we were programmed unknowingly. When you are in the exam hall, you know that what you do in the exam unconsciously is to stick to the questions that you know. Maybe there are 10 questions and they say answer 5. What you try to do is to find the 5 that you know. And I don't know many of us did that maybe out of the 10 questions, it is 4 you know very well. The 5th one, not so much. Maybe out of the 4, there is 1 you overknow. So what do? You stick to that one and you write and write and write and write. In short, start setting questions for yourself and answering. But you forget the fact that regardless of how much you write, because there is that unconscious part of you that tells you that if you write so much in this, maybe the lecturer will pity you and give you some free marks in the one you did not write so well. But the reality is that one that you know so well, let's say it was answer 5 questions and each question is 20 marks. Regardless of how much you write about the one you know so well, you cannot get above 20 over 20. Which means the one that you do not know so well, and so let's say there are 5 questions you were to answer, you know number 1 so well, so you wrote and wrote and wrote. Other people used 1 page, you used the whole, not full script, what did they used to call that thing? You used the whole what's it called? exam sheets that you were given, even collected extra sheets. The ones you did not know so well, you now did those ones on half a page, and you submitted. The reality at the end is that you know it so well does not mean you will score more than 20 in that number. It will still be 20 over 20. The others you did not do so well will probably be 5, 5, 5, 5. Right? Now, imagine you now said, well, so if you got 5, 5, 5, 5 in the others, that's 20, 20 plus 20, 40, 40 over 100. I answer booklet. Thank you, Mr. Kura. 40 over 100, I think that is E those days. Is it not E? I know it's not, no, F is below F, this 40, yes. So let's say that is E. But imagine as a student, you now chose that since I know number one well, you answered only number one. You wrote everything. In short, you wrote to the extent that you were comparing the answers of different textbooks on that number one that you know so well, so that they know that, no, you know number one. Like, let them know you know number one. So you were taking answers from textbook A, textbook B, textbook C. In short, you were even in your answers, you were quoting according to Ababi, if it is Ababi is chemistry textbook that year, according to Ababio page 53. And they are like, wow, this guy knows it. At the end of the day, you agree with me that the lecturer or the teacher will not score you more than 20 because you answered only one question. And because you answered only one question, at the end of the day, you are going to get 20 over 20 for that question. But in the exam overall, you will get 20 over 100 and still fail. I'm going somewhere with this analogy. Now, this is the same mentality we have brought into business unconsciously. You are sticking to your competence, not what the customer knows or not what the customer wants. And because you are sticking to your competence, the wealth that you can generate as an entrepreneur will be limited by the people that require your competence, not the problem that they have. Because you need to remember that the only reason people buy things is to solve their problem. People buy what you sell to solve their problems. Why am I buying a cloth? To solve the problem of nakedness. Why am I wearing glasses? To solve the problem of partial blindness. Why am I buying a phone? To solve the problem of communication. Why am I buying an expensive phone? Because I need a clearer camera, or I need a better audio, or I need a longer battery life, whatever that phone offers. Or why am I buying a gold-plated phone? To buy status. I don't want you to see me like I am like others. So I am using a phone of 20 billion naira so that you say, Baba, see that guy, he has it. What am I trying to say in essence? People have problems and they buy what you do because of their problems, not because of your competence. The competence could be why they choose you, but the problem first is the priority. So, if you are going to be an entrepreneur, you must build your competence and allow your competence look for how to grow into people's problems. I'll give you an example. I am a farmer. Why did we think of adding fish to what we do? I do tomatoes. I do pepper. We have a young chap that does onions. When people are buying this thing, one of the feedback we always hear is, it was great coming to the farm, but how I wish we could get meat and fish on the farm. How we wish we could just get this fish and stuff on the farm. This will just be our market. We will just come here and buy everything that we need. A customer is complaining, telling me the problem. You will hear statements like, coming to this place is a long distance. If not because tomato is scarce, I would not have come. They are telling me something indirectly. When tomatoes is not scarce, I will not go through the traveling all the way to your farm to buy tomatoes and pepper. Now, if I need you to still come to buy tomatoes and pepper, what other things can I solve outside my competence? Who do I need to collaborate with? Yes, we can. So, an entrepreneur must have a yes, we can mindset. We must not be that person that locks out and say this is a no-no. Take time, I know these are things that you already know. For that, people are saying it is working for this. Why are you saying no? Why is Coca-Cola trying to come out and say no? We have said that this thing must be for headache. It must be. No. They listened. Samsung did not start as an electronics company. Amazon did not start as a, what's it called, company. Netflix did not start the way they are today. But what did they do? They listened. Thank you, Lilianuche. They listened to the complaint. So what she's saying, we can also choose to deliver to people's doorsteps because we are not a proper B2C company. If not, yes, that is an option. We can now say, okay, we will deliver to you at this price. But you see, even if we are delivering to them, they still need to go out to look for fish and other things. What am I trying to say in essence? The yes we can spirit is the ability to listen to your customers. Do not be consumed by your product or service as an entrepreneur, because you are not producing that thing for your consumption. You are not in business for you, you are in business for the customers. So you must ensure that in your creative process, you are listening to the customers. You are not swallowed up in your creative juice. What are the customers saying? What are the customers complaining about? What is their feedback? A lot of entrepreneurs would have grown bigger than they are right now if only they listen to their customers. If only. A lot of entrepreneurs would be bigger than they are right now if they accept feedbacks. If they accept feedbacks. You will remember, for those of us that probably stayed in Lagos for a bit, those days when the likes of Mr. Biggs and Co first came out, it was just an eatery. But they started, other new eateries started hearing that, how we wish there is a place for children to play. Where will our children play when we come to eat? The children are running up and down. What happened? The next set of eateries that came out started creating spaces for children to play. The same way, if you follow church growth in Nigeria, there was a time where it was adults, that's main church, and children church. But the new generation churches started listening to the feedback. If only teenagers had their session so they can be teenagers, because you now realize, they realize that when students get admission to university, when they are on break, they do not feel like coming to church because it feels like this is not church. So what did the new generation churches start doing quickly? They now created a youth department that felt like school. So when you are back from school, you come back to a church, your family church, that still looks like school. So you now started having youth church, main church, children's church. Excuse me. They started having those options. They listened. Later, they never had another segment of singles. So that is number one. Number two, in being a proper entrepreneur, because you see, when you are talking to investors, they want to know that you understand this. Number two is problem first, not product problem logic. A lot of entrepreneurs are focused on the solution they believe is needed. Not listening to complain he killed Mr. Biggs. Exactly. A lot of entrepreneurs are too focused on the solution they think is needed. They are not about the problem first. I don't know how many of us have noticed that for the past maybe 3-4 years, a lot of people just wake up and say we want to develop an app for agric. And most of the apps that are being developed is to connect farmers to consumers. And if you watch most of the apps after they launch, give it 1 month, 2 months, at most 1 year, fail. Because the question is, who said they want app? Who is complaining they are looking for app? Am I making any sense? Who did they listen to? Whose problem is app? Because you need to understand that technology is not a solution. Technology is just an enabler of a solution. And we say that again. Technology in itself is not a solution. Technology is just an enabler of a solution. Key. Let me look for a way to explain that using simple things. I want to drink water. PET bottle that carries the water is a technology to carry water. But it is not the PET bottle first. Those of us that are a bit older, you will remember that those days, I don't know what happened before those days, but the days I remember, we used to have what is called ice water. The water that we just tie in nylon and throw inside cold blocked area. Ice water. From ice water, we now developed pure water. No, I think ice water went straight to this before they ever did sachet water. Now, this is the point. What was the complaint of a lot of people with ice water? There was no way to be sure that the water was healthy for drinking. So, the purpose of the PET bottle first was to provide assurance to the drinker. Assurance to the drinker, dignity to the drinker. So, by the time PET bottles came out, it was not because somebody just figured let's do PET bottles, but because there was an issue. Now, you would then notice when PET bottles came out, PET bottles became water for the rich. It was like a social status. So, there was now a big gap between those that have and those that say they have, and those that don't have. Those that don't have were fine with their ice water. Those that have were fine with this. Those that say they have could not afford this but did not want the former. That was where sachet water came out. Because there was still a sort of control. NAFDAC could go and put NAFDAC number on that. Ice water did not have NAFDAC number. So the technology was based on the problem. Problem first. What problem are you solving? You are saying, farming is not working. Farming is not working. And what problem were you trying to solve before you started the farm? You cannot say you are trying to solve food security issue. WHO has not solved it. FAO has not solved it. Federal government, the US government, all of them combined have not solved it, so you can't. There must be a problem that you have seen that made you see that it is the farm that is the solution. What problem are you solving? It's not about your ability to think product, but what problem? Because you realize that when you are meeting a real investor saying you need funding, the first thing they want to know is what problem are you solving? If you cannot accurately define the problem, they know that you are passionate about your solution, not about the customer. If you can, have you noticed that the politicians that get into power are the politicians that understand our problems well? Listen to campaign. Is the politician that will tell you the roads are bad, I be not be so washed out now, so water not dey, na so. Hospital not good, na so. This one not dey, yes o. Then they will not tell us when we enter, we don't care most of the time about what you promised as long as we can align the problem that you know. As long as we can align, then you will get followership. Look at those people in the last election that came out with 77-point agenda. Very educated, and they will come and they are giving us very educated solutions. You notice that they did not make any wave. You did not tell us the problem. I don't know what this person, sorry, I don't know what. Alistians, I'm not sure what you're typing, but I'm going to delete this. This is a scam. I don't know the person. The next time you post that, I will have to report your account saying you cured cancer. I don't know how you cured cancer. If you cured cancer, you know where to go to. I mean, you'll be celebrated nationwide. If you have to put it on Facebook that you cured cancer, then you're a liar. I say that boldly. So, what problem are you trying to solve? Very important. What problem are you trying to solve? You need to be sure. What problem are you trying to solve? So, as creative as you are, sit down and understand the problem. Understand the problem from the owner's perspective, not yours. Because again, you are not the customer. You are not the customer. Whatever technology you want to build, it is. So let me give you an example. My daddy, Pastor Debo Nofowora, says this a lot, which I believe he says, Samson, nobody in Nigerian market truly cares whether you are growing tomatoes in greenhouse or open field, hydroponics, aeroponics, or aquaponics. They don't care first. The first thing they care about is, can I get tomatoes and is it affordable? So if I understand that, I mean, somebody came to my farm one day and was like, Farmer Sam, we saw the farm you built for somebody in Dubai. We were thinking we'll come to your farm, you will automate everything and be pressing button and blah, blah, blah. When the man was done talking, I was just laughing and I said, Daddy, if I finish spending all of that money automating the whole farm, how much will I sell the tomatoes and pepper? Because I understand that the customer is not about the technology. No. The customer just wants tomatoes and pepper. So any technology that makes me get efficiency is good. But that is not the customer's concern. So if I now choose to go and, so take for instance, if tomorrow I now choose and I say I want to get robots on the farm, I go and buy a single robot, let's say $500,000. I now buy 10, $5 million. It will make news. Soilless Farm Lab has robots working on the farm. Newspaper will come, TV stations will come, and Baba Tigbo, Gogo Tigbo. When the product reach market, are you going to pay more because it was grown by robots? I am almost certain the answer is no. As a matter of fact, there are people that will not buy the product because it was grown by robots. So at the end of the day, have I used technology to help my business or have I used it to kill the business? So the point being, it is problem first, not product first. Problem first. Number 3 is think narrow, not broad as an entrepreneur. When you are seeing the problem, remember that people have multiple problems. You are not El Shaddai. You are not going to solve all their problems. Look for a problem that is urgent. People do not negotiate for urgent problems. People will not negotiate your fee when the problem is urgent. If the problem can be endured, your fees can be negotiated. Somebody understood that? If a problem can be endured, your price can be negotiated. So think narrow. I have heard you complain about this. I have heard 15 complaints, 20 complaints. Which one do I want to solve? There is a company we all know so well called Nike. Nike. Is it called Nike or Nike? But you know the company, Nike. And when you study the story of how Nike became a global superpower, it's an interesting story. Nike was not the first company to make running shoes. There were other companies before them. Somebody is asking, but every product is meant to bring a solution. No, I am saying first know the problem before you go and start thinking of products. Know the problem first before you start thinking of a solution. Don't go and think of a solution and you are not looking for the problem it will solve. Then somebody, if you understood that, and okay, think of the problem first. Understand the problem first before you go and start thinking of the solution. Mommy, me, Madam Majokela, Sisi, my sugar mommy. Think of the problem first. Understand the problem first before you start thinking solution. Don't think solution first and you're not looking for the problem, the solution we answer. Do you understand? So I was using Nike as an example. Nike was not the first company to make running shoes. But what they realized was, this was 1970 something or so, they realized that the shoes that were available were not meant for long distance runners. The shoes then available were meant for short distance. And you know, if you are doing all these 100 race, you run on a short track and you're very good. So what did Nike do? Nike realized there was a big gap. People that will run long distance needed something that was not heavy, needed something fluffy, comfortable, not painful on the leg, not a burden on the leg, and not something that when they step on something, their strong leg will just bend and they can break easily or sprain it. They focused on a narrow problem first. When Indomie noodles, because I think they were the first to come into Nigeria, when they were to start, what did they focus on first? People need to make their food fast. If you remember those days, Indomie noodles was advertised as 2 minutes noodles. It will be ready in 2 minutes. Think narrow, focus. The problem in your business is you are trying to solve too many problems at the same time. You are trying to solve too many things at the same time. That is why your business is not growing so fast. Because even when an investor is looking at your business is an exact replica of Gbogbo Nishe. Many of us remember what they call Gbogbo Nishe. That black juice those days in the village that can cure every sickness. That is why it is not growing fast. Focus. As an entrepreneur, if you are doing 10, 15, 20 things, ask yourself, which of these 20 things can give me money the fastest? That is where you focus. Where are more people complaining? Where are more people having issues? That is where we start from. So we must think narrow, not broad. There is power in focus for entrepreneurship. Think narrow. Where can I make money first? Where are there so many people complaining? Where are there lots and lots of issues? This is where we start. Then, once you are able to figure out, now remember I said that urgent problems, that will take you to number 4. What is number 4? Ask for the cash so that you can float. Ask for the cash so that you can float. Why is it that a lot of businesses have the complaint of, hey, we have sold, or they never pay us, or we they wait, or we they wait, or the problem is not urgent. They can afford to owe you. You are making kwili and donkwa. You want to go and supply to a store that have other 10 suppliers. Why will they not owe you? Because if you do not supply, it does not affect them. But if you do not supply, it affects your business. So they have the power. So it means you did not find a problem, you just found a solution to a problem they don't have. Somebody is like, but you don't understand, my own chinchi is very sweet. They don't know that. Imagine, for example, you have done kwili on your own. You live on, let me take a random street, you live on Karoro Street. And everybody in Karoro Street are always looking for your chin booking down. You now over time decide to go to that shop on your street to say you want to give them your sweets or your chin. Do you think they will owe you? The answer is no. Why will they not owe you? Because now they realize that you have figured out the problem, you have gotten the solution, you are just helping them benefit from the market that you have cornered. Nobody understands what I'm trying to explain. So it's not about whether it is chin or not. It's a question of, is there really a demand? Is there really a demand? I was following the story of the woman that started, I can't remember the woman's name now. If you are on LinkedIn platform, there is a what's it called? A service on LinkedIn called LinkedIn Learning. And following the woman's platform, I realized that the woman actually started teaching for free on LinkedIn. She kept doing it until she had a large followership. Then LinkedIn reached out to her to say, this thing that you have created, this is awesome. Can we buy it over from you? Can go and read about it. LinkedIn bought over her platform that was built on LinkedIn for $1.5 billion. That is what today is called LinkedIn Learning. What did she understand? There needs to be traction and customers waiting for the investors to see why I am needed. Because in that way, she could ask for cash and floats. Till you get to that period, you are trying to build the traction. You are trying to build the traction. Take, for example, why is it that today we are trying to get big in the export market, but what did we do first? Oh, as a company, we got our HACCP. We went ahead, got our ISO 22000. Hopefully soon we will get our halal. Then we will get our global gap. Then get other certifications. What are we trying to do? We want to ensure that by the time we say export market, we are ready. Now we are still doing test running. We test, we come back, we test, we come back. By the time we say we are ready, we are more than qualified than even some of the farms they have abroad. So all of this is to prepare so that by the time the person is now saying, okay, your farm is qualified or we want to buy from you, we can ask for cash even before we start production. The problem your business is having is you are growing on borrowed money to solve the problem of people. What was it? The English cut off my head. You are running on money that you borrowed to solve problems for people who are willing to pay. When you could have created a system where the people with the problem will fund the solution to the problem, they will fund it. But because you have not been able to create a system that makes them understand now that this is true value, then you can ask for cash and then your company can float. Right now, you are an entrepreneur that every day is a miracle. When you sleep, you are like, oh, another day done. How long would you continue in that cycle? How long would you continue to toil like that and like that and like that? Number five, beg or borrow, but please do not steal. Beg or borrow, but please do not steal as an entrepreneur. I've taught this before in multiple ways that I say as an entrepreneur, it is important to highlight what are the things you can get for free. It is not entrepreneurial as a startup or as an SME that everything you need in your company, you are paying for it. Then you are not a good place to invest, because you are a business without leverage, no single leverage. What are the things you can get for free? Have you started thinking about it? What are the things in your business you can get for free? Is it space? Is it rent space? Is it accommodation? Is it staff? Is it work? What can you get for free? I was listening to somebody teach earlier today, and she said something that was super, what's the word? Super true. She said, Nigeria is not deficient of labor. Nigeria is the perfect archetype of China. We have labor in multiple forms. What can you get for free? What can you get for free? Very, 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 very important. What can you get for free? 2, what can you get now and pay later? What can you get now and pay later? 3, what can you pay for in installment? What can you pay for in installment or milestone? Because the problem with a lot of entrepreneurs is you are trying to pay for everything you need at once. That is why the burden of entrepreneurship is so much. This is why the burden of entrepreneurship is so much. Because you are trying to pay for everything once. You have not even figured out the things you can get for free. You've not figured it out. So, what can you borrow? What can you leverage? Go and study the story. I mean, you know it now, the story of Uber. Who would have thought that a business can start a car business without owning a car? So, they borrowed people's vehicles. You can start a renting business without owning a house, Airbnb. You can start renting out movie without owning a store, Netflix. Are we still together? For farmers, you are always shouting, middlemen, middlemen, middlemen. Yes, they are farmers without a farm making money from the farm. They are figuring things out. Because have you noticed that when those middlemen come to you, they'll be begging you, I beg now, don't worry, next year, this thing will done better, I will pay you better. They beg you to maximize their margins. They beg you to maximize their profits. They will do anything to beg you. They are on the road, they will beg whomever is stopping the vehicles. What am I saying in essence? What are those things you have not maximized? You are always in that conference, at that conference. Why are you really attending? What are you going there to pick that you can maximize later? What are you going there? What are you going there to pick? And finally, instead of asking for permission as an entrepreneur, we say you beg for forgiveness. Because there is an audacity that makes entrepreneurship work. There is an audacity, there is a mindset that makes entrepreneurship work. A lot of people are trying to follow the conventional, but the issue is majority do not make it. Majority never become financially secured. Majority do not build wealth. And conventional takes you to the point for majority, or the space of majority. So the question is, how many things are you waiting to be like majority and you are wondering why your outcome is not different? I remember a young chap met me a while back and the lady was saying, oh, they want to go, I think they do all this chin and stuff. And they were like, they don't want to start processing it because they don't have NAFDAC number. And I asked the lady, who said NAFDAC is looking for you? Oh, to a continue NAFDAC, you are not even up to what NAFDAC is looking for. I said, first start producing, let people even know your product, Katomas or NAFDAC. Am I saying go illegal? No. You've not even tested. You are still in your house where one or two are gathered eating your chinche. You are thinking you have to do NAFDAC. What if you now do NAFDAC and you get all the packaging and you share it and nobody likes it? And you now realize that it was family and friends that were trying to encourage you that said it was the best after Jesus. But when you now turn it to real business, wahala dey. Because think of how many business wanted to get everything ready before they started, and by the time everything was ready, the window for the success of that business was gone. So we test. There was a quote I made a while back that I said, the hallmark of a proper business is a business that learns how to fail fast. It's a business that learns how to fail fast. What are you trademarking? Can you get trademark before NAFDAC? The question is, what are you trademarking? You trademark a product so that no other person will steal it. What are you trademarking? What if what you trademark did not work? That's waste of trademark. Wetin nobody don mark say they like, now you want trademark? Mr. Anoke is saying, getting cash. See, in another conversation, you will be able to discuss this more. A lot of big organizations are owed, but they also owe people. I have taught this in the past where I talked about understand how to play with receivables and payables. Where there are people that must owe you and there are people you will owe, but you will ensure that you owe more than you are owed. That's the beauty of business. Let me give you an example of owing and how owing helps business. If there is anybody you know that works in an environment where they pay them monthly salary, what is the company doing? The company owes them and they get the service first. Think about it. The company owes them, they get service first. So you are coming to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, first, second, third, fifth, 20th, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, before they pay you. Which means you have, in quotes, worked on credit before you were paid. The company understands how to use that. A good company that will last long must owe people more than because they need that cash to stay. You need that cash to stay afloat. I'll take a question or two and we'll round up. Thank you for joining. There is no question, we can round up. So this is on YouTube. It's on YouTube, so even if you need to come back to this later, just go on YouTube. I left it on YouTube. It is on YouTube. Any question? Any question? I have a session next month in July. For those who are interested, 5 days with me on the farm. I think it will be last week of July. 5 days. How often do I do live? It depends on the spirit too. 5 days on the farm. On the farm next month, July, last week of July. Last week of July, I don't think we even, let me check the dates. Last week of July, just a minute, please. That will be 21st to 25th. 21st to 25th. It will be 5 days on the farm with me, and we will get to discuss how to structure your business so that, because again, some people are running a business that the business has become the weapon fashioned against them. How to structure, we'll take it step by step, only 10 slots. That's it, only 10 slots. Only 10 slots. Thank you. Tobichukwu Anoke has summarized what we said. How do you come out of debt? That is a different conversation because we first need to figure out, do you have good debt or bad debt? Is it good debt or bad